All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And this video, guys, I want to talk about the Proving Grounds. And we're coming up, I think it's a few more days until we finally get our Proving Grounds yet again, where we can all go and just scream at how ridiculous the TIE Interceptor mode is. However, I thought this would be a really good time for me to kind of give you guys my input on the best Conquest characters. Now, we're going to be excluding ships from this. And it's not just going to be these three characters. We're going to be looking at the 5 characters that you could have unlocked right now. So that means Admiral Trench is unfortunately not included in this video. Again, too early to know the impact on the game. But let's dive into it, guys. We're going to rate these characters in a few different categories, give you some perspective. Before we do that, I need to make a small PSA here that Wampa wants Relic 8, and he needs you to hit this channel. Oh my gosh. I need to go to bed after this. He needs you to get this channel to 5,000 subscribers, guys. You know what? Maybe I'll have to start using some other propaganda here. I think the next thing we'll say is that, this channel needs to hit 5,000 subscribers so my daughters can go to college. Yeah, I think we're going to go with that now. So get Wampa to Relic 8 and get Fat Phil's daughters into college. But yeah, guys, like and subscribe, comment down below. Enough messing around. It's a little bit late at night for this, I guess. But yeah, so I named this Health Please, and it's just, yeah. So, Conquest units, oh my gosh. These guys are in no particular order here, but these are the 5 Conquest units that you could potentially have unlocked. Regardless of, obviously you would have had to be in hard mode and be able to get their feats, but these are the 5 characters that you could potentially get. In terms of how they're rated, I think it's going to be important for you guys to understand that, especially now that Proving Grounds is happening, you're getting to that point where you could be unlocking multiple characters at that same time, because if you hit 4 million today, you'll have the potential to get Boba Fett, SWGOH, Maul, and Commander Tano on the same exact day if you don't do any refreshes, which is crazy to me. So knowing how to invest that gear, which ones benefit your roster more, is going to be important. So let's dive into our categories. So the first one is leadership. So again, you guys see Admiral Trench here. It's too early. I don't want to include him yet because we don't really know how he's going to really impact this game. In terms of, we think he's going to be good, but we don't know yet. So Darth Malgus here has the best leadership. I think he hands down takes the Sith Empire in Grand Arena and forces you to use a Galactic Legend on them, which I think is phenomenal. He basically forces a Galactic Legend. You can maybe get away with a Traya here and there. General Skywalker can work, but really you're using a GL against this team, and that's brutal, right? That's not a small thing to do. Maul is actually a very close second. Maul doesn't have Omicrons, and that to me elevates him to a level that Darth Malgus wasn't at. The thing is, that Maul, the difference between Maul and Darth Malgus, I would say, is that Maul's faction, one, is a little bit tougher to get. Mandalorians are a lot harder to farm than Sith Empire. But also, there's a lot more counters to Maul Mandalorians on defense comparative to Darth Malgus teams. And so I think Darth Malgus just gets that nod for his leadership in terms of overall performance. Boba Fett, SWGOH, again, Commander Tano and Ben Solo don't have leadership abilities. So that's that. But what I'll say about, about Boba here, he has very good in territory wars. I think he's gotten some hate, but any top level guild that I've talked to, guys that I've spoken to there, his Zetas are a must have for them. So take what you hear from some people with a grain of salt, that those top guilds want you to have his Omicron because of how good that he is in territory wars. So again, I'm not a territory war player, so I rate it a little bit lower than the other ones. Now, versatility. Versatility does not mean that they could be a leader or a squad member. That's not being versatile. Versatile has to do with tags and teams. So the more tags you have, like somebody like Jango Fett, who's got Scoundrel, Separatist, Bounty Hunter, and Mandalorian. He's got 4 different tags. That's versatile. You can use him in any of those teams and he does really well. So Commander Tano fits that because you can use her with Jedi Master Kenobi, Padme, Rey. I mean, throw her inside of a Dash Scoundrel team and she works. Star Killer could even use her. Not that you want to use her there, but again, on a line force user. She just has so much versatility. I would say the biggest ones being the Jedi Master Kenobi, Padme, and Rey. She just can be really, really good. Like, there was a while where people would run their Commander Tano with Rey for her unique ability where she's just giving out so much ridiculous health and offense to them. So Boba Fett Sign of Django is actually in second here, and that's more so because he's got the 2 tags of Bounty Hunter Scoundrel and can fit in with like Beskar Armor Mando Scoundrels, Dash Scoundrels, any Bounty Hunter team. He fits in there. Again, he's going to be able to be used with Tuskens in 3v3, so he's going to be pretty versatile. Maul is next. He's got 2 tags. He's got the Mandalorian tag, unaligned Force user, so he's either with Lord Vader or he's leading the Mandalorians. Those are kind of the 2 ways I see Maul used. Malgus is primarily a leader of the Sith Empire, so I wouldn't say he's the most versatile in comparison to these guys. I've seen a few teams where he could lead Starkiller in GAC, but I think then your Sith Empire team just gets that much easier to beat when you do that. So I think he's best with them. That's kind of why his versatility is a little bit down here. And then finally, Ben Solo is the least versatile character. He screams, I want Rey. And I mean, and even then, it's if Galactic Legends Rey is in the leader slot is one of his Omicrons. Like, that's a little bit too specific compared to everybody else. So versatility-wise, he's taken a nosedive. All right, now performance. This is not their overall ranking. This is purely looking at them from a performance standpoint, and the performance is taking into account a couple of things. How are they performing in their squad? The Boba Fett signed a Django inside of a Scoundrel Bounty Hunter squad. How are they performing in comparison? How is he changing them compared to how these characters are changing their teams? So again, just pointing that out here. So Darth Malgus is the best, I think, from a performance standpoint of what he does with the Sith Empire. They go from being a team with a bunch of different off-meta, counters to in Grand Arena, you're using a Galactic Legend or you're using Darth Traya. And even then with the Galactic Legends, be careful which one you use because they don't all beat Darth Malgus. Commander Tano is next. She takes Jedi Master Kenobi, makes him really, really good. But she doesn't she doesn't change the way that you would counter him with some of the other GLs. Again, she makes it tougher, but I think Malgus takes the cake for just really upping them into a completely different echelon of countering. And then Ben Solo is a close, I'm going to say him and Commander Tano are really close here. I'd say Darth Malgus is clear. These 2 are really close. Ben Solo has completely revolutionized Rey. In Grand Arena especially, I think he has made her into a beast. And I did a video recently, guys, where I talked about Rey and why she's one of the least common Galactic Legends. And it got a ton of hits, and I love it, guys. Like, if you guys want to see more videos like that, let me know in the comments. But Ben Solo has made her phenomenal. Like, she's a very good GL. She just doesn't lead to anything. But Ben Solo, I mean, it's tempting because he's just that good with her. Even outside of Grand Arena where his Omicrons are active, he still gives a lot of good bonuses that can trip people up. So Maul is next, and I struggled with this one. I really struggled, but I put Maul here from looking at him in context that he doesn't change what off-meta counters, you use against Lord Vader. Like, without Datacrons, you set a Lord Vader team on defense, Imperial troopers can still beat it in a lot of different ways. Your bounty hunters will beat that team. There's ways that those teams beat them that Maul being there does not change that. So to me, and again with Maul Mandalorians, they definitely get better. Those Mandalorian teams do get better, but the Lord Vader side is holding him down here. Finally, Boba Fett Sign of Django, again, Omicron dependent. He doesn't change a lot of the teams that he's in. I think in Territory Wars, he's really, really good. But outside of that, I really think he's just not doing enough for that faction. So here's my overall. You've got Darth Malgus first. I think he's probably the best Conquest character we've gotten. I think he's better than Commander Tano because he's taking a squad that every player can get very early on and making them phenomenal. That's kind of the way I think about it. Commander Tano is a second place, and I think she's the clear second place here. You can use her with Padme, General Kenobi, Scoundrels, Rey. There's a lot of uses for her. She's just an overall good character. Maul is still securely in that third spot, I think, even over Ben Solo. Again, because he's got that leadership with Mandalorians, I think that kind of elevates him in over Ben. That these two, if Maul didn't have that leadership, I think him and Ben would be on equal footing. But Ben kind of gets kicked to the curb a little bit. And then the reason I have Boba Fett last purely comes from outside of territory wars. He's very versatile, but you don't need him to be versatile, if that makes sense. So he's kind of in that spot where he just doesn't really fit in somewhere yet. With the new Tusken Omicron for 3v3, maybe Boba Fett Sign of Django turns into a monster and his ranking jumps up. Who knows? But right now, I think this is where they sit. It did hurt. It's really hard to rank these guys because they're all so good and they do some really, really cool things. But I think this is where I'm going to go with. Now, if you're a player, you got Proving Grounds and you're trying to figure out who should I gear first if I get all these characters at the same time, which that could very well be the case. So you need to ask yourself some, I call it if statements. So if you have Darth Revan, you want Darth Malgus. If you don't have Darth Revan, Malgus is not going to help you. Jedi Master Kenobi or Padme in this situation, right? So if you have Padme, great, you can get Commander Tano. If you don't have either of them, just not worth it. With Maul, it's a little bit more complex because you could have a full Mandalorian team and then want to gear Maul up for that. But he really does just want Lord Vader. That's kind of the big thing there. He wants Lord Vader. Do not gear Ben if you don't have Rey, unless your guild needs him for Rise of the Empire operations like mine. And then you do it because you're a good guildmate and you cry about it because it hurts so much. You can use him with Jedi Training Rey, and it actually did get me a hold in this 3v3 GAC, which is comical because, like, what the heck? But, yeah, Ben Solo, I mean, I really wouldn't do it unless you have Rey. And then finally for Boba Fett Sign of Django, you really just want some of those other scoundrels and bounty hunters to boost your team. So this is the overall ranking here, guys. Darth Malgus, I think, still the best overall Conquest unit. Even though he's not the most versatile character, I just think he brings so much to that faction that it's really hard for me to root against him. Really hard for me to put him anywhere other than that #1 spot. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below. As always, like, subscribe, comment, guys. Make sure my daughters can get into college. I'm going to stop saying that because now I'm going to get reported to like CPS for being a bad parent. But I love all you guys. May the Force be with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.